everyone. We have a webinar today on scope and career opportunities after IRMA. Students' future growth and development are heavily influenced by their career choices. In today's environment of multiple options, knowing about choices available helps children in their decision-making process. This session brings to you a coveted faculty member from Institute of Rural Management Anand, who shall guide aspiring students interested in PGDM Rural Management at IRMA. It will help them understand the course information related to learning opportunities and placement scope. Before we begin with the introduction, we have a short video regarding IRMA that I would love for you all to have a quick look.
Hi, I'm Yogesh Prasan. I'm second year student at IRMA. I'm currently convening the student placement cell body. Placements at IRMA has been perfect for 41 years of its legacy, and we have achieved perfect placement record for summers as well as finals. We serve both the international as well as national organizations. Our alumni has been in over 18 countries in the world. So this is a testament that we have been serving both the national and international organizations. And we serve both the development as well as corporate sector.
We serve both the development as well.
I'm Nilay. I'm a second year student at IRMA. I'm also part of student placement cell. If I talk about my summer internship experience, I got a chance to work with Amul Feed Dairy, where I could go onto the field even in a COVID situation, where I understand the basic market scenario of Horeca segment. Specifically worked there for the fresh paneer of Amul. Summer internships at IRMA, companies from different sectors do come to campus to participate in the summer internship process. If I talk about specific sectors, companies from BFSI, retail, FMCG, development sector and consultancy and many more sectors do come on campus for the summer internship as well as final placement process.
So today we have with us Dr. Preeti Priya. Preeti Priya presently works as a professor at Institute of Rural Management, Anand. She has also worked with Nielsen Company, the largest marketing result and consulting firm in the world, before joining the faculty of IRMA, and teaches courses on marketing research, marketing in subsistence marketplaces, marketing and social challenge, scale development, and multivariate data analysis in postgraduate and doctoral programs. She has handled various administrative positions at IRMA, including admissions and placements. In her research, Professor Preeti Priya attempts to apply interdisciplinary insights from management and social sciences to the complex problems of primary producers and consumers in subsistence marketplaces. She has published research articles in journals like Food Security, Journal of Multi-Criteria Decision Analysis, Global Business Review, GeoJournal, Women's Studies International Forum, etc. She has provided her research and consulting service to the government agencies, multinational companies, and not-for-profit organizations. She also serves on the board of DBS Bank, India, and Gramin Shiksha. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Kasturi, for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to interact with aspirants.
So, ma'am, as we begin with the first question, I have a couple of questions for you, and simultaneously, we'll also take up the questions that students are advised to drop in the chat box.
Right.
So, ma'am, my first question to you is there are few business schools in India that offer PGDM in rural management. So,
Okay.
why should an MBA aspirant consider doing a PGDM in RM? What are the exciting and high impact areas in the rural sector that one can look forward to and build a career in?
Okay. See, as you can notice that we started in 1979, around 43 years back, right? And then when we started at Anand, it was the only institute which was trying to provide an alternative to the mainstream management institutions too, which is as I would say that it's an alternative to management because the India posits complex problems which is not very similar to Western countries, right? So the entire management as a discipline has evolved there, but we need to contextualize it because our problems, our history, our cultural context or socio-cultural context is very different. And it is very important to see that what we started has been taken up by many, and not only that you see many other management institutions which are which are offering courses on rural management, but it's only after our inception only many IIMs started their food and agribusiness management programs, which is kind of, you will find that now they have looked at the potential of a program like rural management, and they have introduced. So coming to your question, why now this kind of a program, why rural management? I would say that see especially in Indian context, if you look at rural India is actually seen as a driver of growth, and driver of growth, and especially when we are talking about consumption-based growth. So it's being actually seen as the driver of consumption. So if you look at like now the how we look at our industrial sector, so the FMCG sector, if you see in the FMCG sector, the 75% of growth in FMCG sector during last decade has come from rural. On an average, rural FMCG market has grown at an average annual growth rate of 11%. If we talk about durables, you will find that durables are like almost in the range of 10 to 20% of the total durable sales, total consumer durable sales. It's coming from rural, and we are talking about super consumers where they are as brand conscious as you as an urban counterpart are. So given this kind of, when we look at this FMCG, I'm just giving where the direct consumption is happening. And then if you look at like the other sector in which the rural we are looking at is the agriculture. right? So if you look at the agriculture, we are talking about farm to fork connections. Government is talking about now doubling farmers' income, and they are claiming that they are completely on the track. So by 2022, which Prime Minister announced in 16, is actually we are going to kind of see that yes, how the farmers are, or the farming system is being kept at the center of Government of India policy making. So there are, like, in terms of, if you now, so the on the demand side where we are talking about FMCG and durables, for these on the supply side we are talking about agribusiness and finance, right? So in terms of agribusiness, we are talking about variety of business models which are trying to now, whether we are talking about the supply chain models, we are talking about the direct farm to fork models, they all are built around the rural primary producer base. And if you look at in the recent years, what has happened, that agro processing, rural entrepreneurship, the agri-based startups, the agri-tech startups, these are the new forms of businesses, new forms of business models which have come up in Indian context. And so there is, like, I would say that that is one part. And if you look at the banking, the loan portfolio in rural is growing at 40% year on year basis. And there are like 64 million unique borrowers who are in rural. So given that diverse microfinancing and micro lending models which are coming up, I do see that there is, and given the pandemic, the way pandemic has now affected the entire global economy, including India. If you look at the data, even during the pandemic, these sectors like FMCG and all have actually grown more in rural than in urban. Given all these macroeconomic indicators, along with, complemented with the kind of government spending which is happening in rural, there is indeed, I would say that there is a greater relevance for rural management education in India than it was earlier. So that's how I would say that there is indeed very now we are actually the businesses, the economy are in greater need of rural managers than general managers now.
So, ma'am, IRMA, in the field of rural management, IRMA is a premier institute offering PGD and IRMA.
Yeah, we only began it.
So, yes, ma'am, definitely the flag bearer in the field of rural management for postgraduate and doctoral programs. What sets apart the program experience at IRMA from other B schools in general?
Okay, so if you look at the IRMA journey, is a 22 months long journey. And I would like to kind of give you a glimpse of that, how this journey is going to give you a very different kind of experience, which is not really available in the other B schools. So after the admissions, etc., when an aspirant finally gets selected and decides to join IRMA, he or she is no more remains a student for us, but becomes a participant in our flagship PRM program. And that is one big difference. So as a participant, we are co-travelers in her journey of PRM and my journey, and she is a co-traveler in my journey as a rural management faculty. And we start with a very well-designed, carefully thought-out induction program, in which during the induction, as we are based out of Gujarat, and Gujarat is known for its, is one of the developed states, the most developed states in India. In the induction program itself, we sent out our participants to a shorter village stay to see how how do the Gujarat villages look like, and what kind of impact the dairy cooperative movement has now brought into the villages, and the kind of the socio-economic changes have been brought in. So this 2-3 days stay, or this shorter stay along with a faculty member, what it does, it's not that they are actually observing what is happening in these villages, and a lot of questions are getting accumulated in the minds of these participants. And then before starting the classroom, we do have a, like, what we have in-house developed a Naranpur Express game, which is a simulation game, in which again the participants are they play the role of smallholder farmers and actually live their life through the simulation and understand the kind of vagaries, the natural vagaries that they have to face, and the kind of how do they make decisions. So these two actually, I would say that these are like priming exercises. Like, if when you play a sport like badminton, you just don't go to the court and start playing. You do a bit of jogging and running before it to warm up your body and get into that. So these two things are actually playing that role of priming. And in classrooms, if you see our classroom terms, there are 6 classroom terms. So the first term, in which we actually teach more of foundational courses, which is going to help them build the foundation of rural and management as a philosophy, management as a practice. And after the term 1, our participants go for a 8-week rural immersion, which we call village fieldwork segment, in which they are attached with a development organization or a grassroots organization, and they stay in a group of 2 or 3 in a village. And all these 2 months that they're staying, the only brief is that how much you can be curious there. For every little thing that you observe, remain curious and ask the questions. How, what, why, when, where, what is happening. And these 2 months, along with the host organization, they learn a lot about how the interventions take place in rural, how are markets affecting the rural socio-economic, the environment, how the social environment, how the human environment, and how the economic environment and the biosphere, the nature, how these subsystems are interacting with each other. And so this, if you look at as our program is built on the value of empathy, this rural immersion program, this rural immersion or village fieldwork segment helps participants to actually develop and gain empathy for rural. And then they come back. We have a very elongated debrief session where we engage in presentations and discussions around their experiences in the rural. And then we take them to the second classroom term. And I must tell you that the village field segment has been the biggest highlight of the program for many of our urmans. Like a lot of startup ideas, the kind of like we talk about more than 300-400 social entrepreneurs from our less than 4,000 alumni database. A lot of such ideas have come up during the rural immersion segment. Like some of you might be knowing about Dhwani Rural Information System. This Swapnil and Sunandan, they were actually doing their village immersion in Madhya Pradesh, where they looked at the kind of difficulties ASHA workers are facing, and they tried to develop a technology-based an app which can help improve ASHA workers their work efficiency and effectiveness, and they work towards it. And now it's a flourishing startup that we know about. So then term 2 and term 3 build on their functional areas: marketing, operations, finance, project management, etc. And then we groom them so that they can take up a summer internship project. And then they spend some 9 weeks with organizations, and you'll find that the summer internship recruiters and our final recruiters, more or less, they overlap. And over the years, what we see that there is a emerging trend on trend of now generating more PPOs through summer internship. So that after summer internship, they go through this 3 classroom terms, 4th, 5th, and 6th classroom terms, which are more integrative in nature. And there they get an opportunities to specialize in the areas of their interest, right? So someone gets more interested in operations and supply chain, so they take up more courses there. Or someone who gets interested more in marketing takes more courses there. So all these 4th, 5th, and 6th term are largely electives, along with integrative courses like strategic management, management of collectives, management of not-for-profits, management of pro-poor business models, all these. And then we run electives around variety of. So given this, that's how they complete this 22 months journey. But throughout this journey, I would say that 3 things that we keep emphasizing on are the values of empathy, honesty, and integrity. Second, that we do emphasize and keep on underscoring is the creativity and design thinking approach. Creative thinking and design thinking, right? So it's the idea here is like that how they would learn to reflect. Any non-reflective learning is not really going to help them design any solution for a new for a complex problem. So that is something which is. And the third thing I would say that we do focus a lot on the ethical aspects of business, right? So the businesses have to be built on the principles of diversity, inclusion, have to be built on the principles of social justice and equality. So every course that we are doing here, we try to ensure that through every course, whether these are very technical or non-technical, right? We are building our courses, designing our courses around these 3 core philosophies of IRMA. Yeah.
So, ma'am, we do have a couple of questions also coming in. So,
Yeah.
shall we keep taking them, or
Sure. Why not?
some relevant questions that I found at the moment based on your answers? Is one of them is from Swagat. Is not knowing Gujarati a hindrance during rural visits and in?
Not at all. We do take care. I'll tell you, during induction, we do a quick course, a crash course on basic Gujarati, and here it is more important to understand what are the do's and don'ts in Gujarati culture, right? And then for the fieldwork, what we do, our participants do fieldwork across India, and the state preferences are asked by the participant, because yes, language is very, very important thing to build rapport. So if you are from Gujarat, we would not encourage you to go to Kerala unless you know Malayalam. Right? So that is how it's like in your full, in your main fieldwork segment, we ensure that you choose the state whichever you would be comfortable in relating with the community, in being with the community there. But for the induction fieldwork, it's like we are with you, and we ensure that a mix of group is going.
So another interesting question related to the curriculum is from Himanshu. How does this course equip us with the tools to overcome the challenges from disruption of supply chain management in rural sector during COVID?
Okay. See, if you look at the courses here, so one of the very important courses that we have here is now in terms of supply chain, related to supply chain, is sales and distribution management, right? And you would be very happy to know that who runs this course, Amul themselves, the entire Amul team runs this course here, and faculty are more, they are sitting like learners there. So you are actually learning from the industry stalwarts. Then we are talking about supply chain, because that's the concern of Himanshu. Then we are talking about in supply chain, a big issue is about strategic sourcing, right? how to ensure that you maintain the your backward linkages or your backward supply chain efficient. So you would be very happy to know that we do have courses on strategic sourcing, again, which are like now such courses are taught by the industry stalwarts, right? So we in the core in the curriculum we have a very good linkages between industry and academia. So we design courses together so that it can, and along with this the new technology, the new courses which are like now which are going to help us in terms of, apart from the standard supply chain transportation modeling courses, we do have courses on the new technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data analytics, etc. is there to kind of help you build your not only knowledge but also skill in these areas. Am I able to answer your query, Himanshu?
And there is also another follow-up question by Himanshu. Can you please help me with any courses that were included in the college curriculum during the last 2 years to help us manage the issues during this period?
I'll tell you, like during the pandemic, right? Our faculty, we were also in the field, and we were trying to understand what is happening. We were keeping a tab on how the businesses are now adapting to this new reality. And you would be very happy to know that we are running 2 courses on now, which are where the pretext is COVID, right? So one is like how the COVID has impacted our social system, and what kind of, and the another course which is focuses on how to kind of strategize, how to do your business in what we call that VUCA environment, that which is like now volatile, unpredictable, right, crisis kind of a situation. So so where the major concern is about like how the things have changed in the COVID. So when you look at your SDM course now during the COVID, Amal team comes up and talks about that what they did, and one of the most celebrated businesses now which comes from the world of cooperatives during the COVID pandemic has been Amul. Not a single day their supply got disrupted. So we do have, which is taking care of the pandemic. We a lot of elective courses are actually built around the contemporary issues. So, for example, like if you talk about, like I do teach a course on brand management. 21 has been a year when we actually got this next report, a gender next report, how the gender is portrayed, or what kind of portrayal of women has been happening by brands. This report has come up in the collaboration with Advertising Standard Council of India and Future Brands Group, and that is where it's like that this report is discussed in my course. So we do discuss about the gender concerns in brand management. So we do take care of what is happening, and we try to quickly incorporate them in our courses. So see, if you look at our standard curriculum review that happens, it happens every 5 years. But for all the courses, every year you will find that 10 to 30%, I would say in the range of 10 to 30%, the material keeps changing from year to year. We keep updating with the new realities, because businesses are not a very static thing. Businesses are happening in a very dynamic world. So that dynamism have to be captured in curriculum, and we do so very carefully, and we are very conscious of it.
So Himanshu says, thanks ma'am. There are more couple of questions I suppose that we will eventually cover in the coming questions, and we'll keep taking the questions simultaneously.
Yeah.
So ma'am, my next question is, because the course is different from a regular PGDM MBA in general management, are there any specific traits or attributes, experiences that you look for in a potential candidate?
I'll tell you, this question keeps coming in the sense like who is an ideal candidate for rural management and who should be. If you look at it, see, if now we are looking for few things, and first and foremost important thing is the intellectual curiosity. When I say intellectual curiosity, yes, it is very important for us because we are now living in a global world, right? It's very important to know what is happening at the global level, at the macro level. But it is very, very important, and COVID has indeed taught us this, that it is very important to know what is happening at the micro level. That kind of intellectual curiosity is very important. So, and it's like how we are actually looking for people with this proactive inquisitiveness. So proactiveness who is willing to move forward, and this proactive inquisitiveness is like now how proactively you are curious about what is happening around you, and you are trying to then complement it with the right learning ability and analytical abilities. And then secondly, so the curiosity is very important. Then they are looking for your, like in terms of you as an individual or your personality traits. If you ask me, we're actually looking for people with good interpersonal relationship skills. So we want people with good level of emotional intelligence. And by emotional intelligence, I would mean here that you have balanced responses to variety of situations. You have that kind of maturity where you are actually presenting a balanced view on different situations. You have an openness to understand others from their point of view. And if I have to we want people who are assertive but not arrogant. We want people who are courageous but not audacious. So these are the things which we are kind of, so it's basically, if you meet any Irman Kasturi anywhere, something which you would be able to kind of, without asking her that have you done your graduation from IRMA, you can very well predict if you find someone who is very humble, who is assertive, not arrogant, who is courageous, who has shown courage, and who is, I would say that, who is now aspirational with a concern for community, with a concern for environment. You can easily predict that this person that you are meeting has stayed at IRMA, has been part of, now has completed her PRM journey. So that is, I would say, these are very important for us. And the entire program that we talk about, this 22 months, we try to help individuals further strengthen these traits. But at the same time, I would say that in terms of work experience and all, if you see, the program takes care of freshers. We typically get more than 50. Now it's a equally divided batch where 50 to 60% people would be now in that range. We get people with freshers. We have a program, PRMX, which is an executive program for people with at least 5 years of experience, that is managerial experience. This year, we also have introduced a bonus point for work experience in PRM, but it is mainly where the bonus point reaches its peak at 3 years. And here we are looking for a full-time paid employment in the managerial career, right? So it's not necessarily that I was doing a family business. So I was helping my father, or it's like I was doing tutoring. Yeah, we do value, but in terms of those the weightages, etc. Yeah, you do not really get that. And we are looking for, like in batch, we do look for a diverse batch, right? And that is where we are talking about now. We have a positive bias towards women participants. So there is a gender diversity score that they get. We do try to we encourage people from Northeast to apply at IRMA. And we have now certain regional diversity points for them. Similarly, what we have done this year, like we have tried to kind of, we are encouraging people from the aspirational districts. There's 126 odd districts that NITI Aayog, Government of India, has identified as aspirational, and they are actually working in a very targeted way on these districts to improve all their indices, whether we are talking about HDI or we are talking about their district level GDP, etc. So we are also kind of looking for participants who are now who have at least done either 10th or 12th from these districts. We will have some bonus points for there. But as an individual, I would say that yes, we are indeed looking for people with good intellectual curiosity and someone who has a very balanced view and balanced responses to the to the situations, and is open to learn, is very proactive, wants to kind of, for them it's like the MBA is not the livelihood option, but it's an option, it's a way of life. So what we would like to kind of see, what we observe at IRMA and what we experience at IRMA, that each one of us, whatever we do at IRMA, the activities are an act of love and passion. So we do look for people with such passion for what they are interested in doing, right? So they must have that kind of zeal and enthusiasm to do.
So, ma'am, a related question to this that I can see on the chat box is, can someone, for this from Divyansh, can someone with some data analytics background join the course? Will it correlate as per you?
Oh, yes, why not? Why not? I run courses on marketing analytics. So, see, if you look at a lot of changes which have happened in rural and the kind of increased FMCG penetration, durable penetration, a lot of it has to do with the infrastructure improvement in rural and the data analytic capabilities that we have now. So people with such data analytic experiences are really valuable in IRMA program.
And two questions related to CAT ZAT is, one is, what's a safe CAT or ZAT percentile to get admission in IRMA? And another one is from Swagat. I got 85 percentile in CAT. Do I have a chance of getting through IRMA?
I would say yes, absolutely. Not because we have decided a cutoff as of now. Once we close the application, then only we decide. But my answer to Swagat is mainly based on what we have done till now. So if I look at it, like we now generally happen because we want to, we understand, see, the educational diversity is a concern for us. We want our batch to be as diverse as it could be. So we want engineers, we want people from agriculture background, we want people from humanities, we want people from pure science background, we want people from the dairy, the veterinary, all kind of the undergraduate programs that we are running in India. We want each one to be represented in IRMA's class. And given that the CAT as a test has a bias towards a certain kind of a discipline. So to cut on this, to respond to this bias, we do not really bring or keep our CAT or ZAT cutoff very high. That's what we have done over the years. So we typically, what I would say that for a general category, because we do follow Government of India reservation policies, so for general category, it has never been below 80 percentile. So 80 percentile and above always have a great chance to make it to IRMA. And what we do, like at the shortlisting stage, for the interview stage, we are lenient. Right? And for us, the personal interview is very, very important. It's very important. It's equally important as the CAT or ZAT score.
Ma'am, one last question related to this is from Ajay. Is there any preference for dairy technologist?
Yeah, we have an educational diversity score, which is now where the positive biases are for all kind of these kind of education streams like dairy and agriculture. We do have.
So, ma'am, moving on, my next question is it would be great if you could throw some light on the scholarship fund and what kind of profiles
Okay.
stand a chance to fund a part of the tuition fees via
Okay.
scholarship.
See what is our tuition fee for the this program, and I must tell you that we have not increased our fees. It for the batch of 43 who would be joining us in 22 June. The tuition fee remains at 11.74 lakhs. And as we are an institution with a different kind of vision and mission, what we have ensured that none of our typically, if you see, the MBA education has been a very elitist. So a lot of people have not been able to make it because they can't speak good English, or they have a lot of financial constraints, and we do very consciously recognize these issues and we respond to that. Right. So in terms of the financial constraints that we are talking about, we have brought in a range of scholarships for the participants who would be facing this, and for whom these constraints are not allowing them to experience or to board on the journey, IRMA journey that we call. So the kind of scholarships that we have 12 full tuition fee waiver in the first year. We have another 12 full tuition fee waiver. Full tuition fee waiver means full. This now the 11.74 is being waived off for the second year. So these are typically means based. They are not merit based, right? So it's means based, and when we say means based, it is mainly about the family income, and we are looking at. Then last year we introduced two new scholarships, which we call IRMA scholarship, which is merit based scholarship, right? So 10 students, 10 participants in first year, they get 50% tuition fee waiver based on the way they have scored in the IRMA admission process, right? Then, and these 10 are like for both the boys and girls. And then we have one more 10 scholarships which are specifically meant for our girl participants. And they also, based on merit, they get 50% tuition fee waiver. And these 20 scholarships are repeated in the second year as well. So these are like these scholarships which are fully funded by IRMA. And then the third set of scholarships that we have, where we have raised funds through CSR foundations. Like we have a scholarship by Mirai Asset Foundation, Lonson Carey Foundation, or IDFC First Bank MBA scholarship. And then we are also and then we facilitate a lot of Government of India scholarship, like Scheduled Caste scholarships, Scheduled Tribes. So Ministry of Social Justice, they follow, and they have included IRMA participants for those scholarships. So in overall, if you look at, we are kind of providing 80 plus scholarships for the current batch, and the overall, the cumulative outlay of funds is to the tune of 3.18 crores. So if you say on an average, there's 80 people who have got it, like 4 lakh in a 22 months journey.
So, ma'am, talking about the graduation outcomes, how is the placement process at IRMA different from other schools, and how does the entire ecosystem, the curriculum, life projects, fieldwork, prepare a student to crack the placements?
Okay. So if you ask me, I would, in a very short answer to your long question would be that how the placement process at IRMA is very different from other B schools. I would say placements are more human in IRMA than any other B school. That's the short answer. But to elaborate on this, I would say that this entire transformation process that a participant undergoes during her PRM journey prepares her thoroughly to not only perform but also take the pressure of placements head on. And in this transformation process, I would say not only faculty are involved but also alumni are involved. a lot of faculty and alumni mentoring happens throughout these 22 months journey. During this their PRM journey, we have now we run what we call icon talks. Because a lot of preparation for the placements happen through their interaction with industry. So these icon talks are nothing but what we call industry connect talks. Then if you see, we have a well-being advisor, in-house well-being advisor, who stays with us and is available, accessible to all our participants, who actually help them in terms of developing their soft skill, improving their emotional intelligence. Even in our program curriculum, we have courses on emotional intelligence, etc., which in a way it's kind of preparing them. And then also it's like what I would say that now a lot of weekend workshops we conduct during the time of now before the placements come towards their fourth or fifth term actually, to help them improve their soft skills, help them articulate their thoughts properly, succinctly to the recruiters. And so in terms of preparations, this is I would say, and there is a lot of engagement of placement chair and IRMA placement office, in which I would say that it is that is where it becomes more human. And yes, we do encourage people, participants, to have a right balance of competition and cooperation amongst them. Because see, it's like their peer groups are going to be the biggest support system when they go out of IRMA. And we do ensure that they carry this value even and the testing time is the placements time, whether they are able to kind of imbibe this value or not. And the recent placements which we closed now a week before, which we closed in 3-4 days, I must tell you that because one of our participants was interested in joining Tata Trust and she was waiting for that. Now that and the organization had so it had to come on 4 day. The entire batch was waiting for the Tata Trust offer to finally come in to celebrate. Whereas now more than 70% of the batch, or close to more than 70% of the batch was placed on day one. But you would not have found any noise, any celebration out here, purely because they believed in now togetherness. They believed in the collective success. So that is where I would say that the placements are very different, and that has been the reason that not a single year has gone in IRMA's history where we did not achieve 100% placement. There have also been years when some offers were kind of withdrawn at a later stage because there is a startup and fund issue, this, that. But we have collectively come together and tried to kind of, even after the graduation, at that moment of time, alumni are there to help us and to place them and to ensure that our graduates start their professional journey as rural manager smoothly. And so is it like you want to know more about these stats?
So, ma'am, we have one related question. Do we have opportunities to work with agricultural insurance firms post-rural management? Okay. As in, do we have placements in these sectors as well?
See, I'll tell you, like this year, if you look at, a large majority of our participants have been recruited by banking, financial services and insurance sector, right? So the ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, and then all these NBFCs which are coming in. There are some of our graduates, our alumni are working in general insurance and life insurance. And one I remember because he happened to be the first set of participants whom I had taught as a faculty in 2007, who has worked on the crop insurance scheme, actually has been part of the designing the crop insurance with the parliamentary committee. So yeah, we do have. So in the entire, I would say that we cover the entire agribusiness chain, which includes the BFSI as well, agri processing, then marketing, then retailing, branding, everything.
Ma'am, another question is, hi madam, what are the internship opportunities at IRMA?
That is where it's like internship opportunities and the placement internship opportunities. If you see again, you can find that you are going to get opportunities to do internship in these sectors: the finance BFSI sector, in the agribusiness sector, in the rural FMCG and consumer durables. Now this rural, the demand side of the rural and the supply side of the rural. So, and along with that, you will also be now getting an opportunity to do your internship with the consulting firms or the public policy firms. So our people have done their internship even with World Bank projects. Right, so many of them have worked on the Grant Thornton, which is as a consulting firm. They have taken up our participants for their internship and the final recruitment both. Because now the standard, the new trend that you see is like people don't want to kind of, now they want to, now they have this management traineeship program where they start with the internship. They evaluate you during the internship, how you are kind of working, how you are performing, and based on that they are kind of, now you are converting that internship offer to actually a placement offer, or a placement, now PPO or PPI as they call, pre-placement interview or pre-placement offer, direct pre-placement offer. So this year also I would say that we had around 19 PPOs which were finally accepted by our participants. Many of them rejected because given the placement scenario, they were actually seeing that yes, a lot can be done through 1 minute. So a lot can be done through through the standard placement, the organizations which were coming, and the PPOs were really great in the sense like this year we actually saw a huge jump in the packages, and also there is a very encouraging sign in terms of the kind of roles airmans are being offered.
So, ma'am, moving on to the last question.
Yeah.
Are there specific challenges to having a career in the rural sector, and what is your advice to MBA aspirants wanting to contribute to the rural sector in India?
Mm-hmm. I would say, Kasturi, I really do not see when I examine rural, when I look at data, when I look at the stories around rural, I personally see where the challenges are. The space is full of opportunities. There are no challenges as such. It's full of opportunity. It is all about one's willingness to tap these opportunities, to leverage these opportunities. There are no challenges, though you can say that yes, there are certain myths around rural. That will I get fully stuck to only rural? Is it about being in village and throughout my life? And no, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, right? What the rural businesses require, they require a very empathetic understanding. And definitely, if you are going to be a brand manager and you do not remain in touch with your consumers, how would you design your brand? How would you nurture your brand without knowing consumers? And you cannot know your consumers by sitting in the office. You need to go out, you need to interact with your consumers, you need to observe them, what they are doing, how they are interacting with your products, how they are interacting with your competing products. And to that extent, rural management remains same as any other management, right? So if for a management who has done a candidate who is planning to specialize in finance, for him or her, if financial risk FRM is very important, it is the same for a rural manager who is going to join a banking and finance, right? So it's all, I would say that no, there are as such there are no challenges. There are umpteen opportunities which are lying there. There are many low-hanging fruits in the rural space, and there is a huge demand for rural managers, which as a country, I would say that now the 240 candidates, 240 seats that we have, we are actually not able to serve the clientele that we have. Every year, whether we are talking about internship or we are talking about placements, we are generating offers more than what we can actually provide. So there is a more demand than what we can supply. So, and that actually gives me that there are huge opportunities outside there. Huge.
So, ma'am, a couple of questions that are yet unanswered. Will the interview be online or offline this year?
Okay. See, we had planned for offline and online both. So when you register and when you are now going on our admissions portal, you will get both the options. So you take a call and you choose. What we have done, that people, we have even allowed, given the surge in Omicron, we have allowed people who had given the choice as an offline interview to change it to online interview. So there is a choice available to you. Please exercise. And we are also keeping a tab on what is happening. So as now, given the government guidelines and given the what is now the kind of this Omicron spread, etc., we are like now we may go fully online. But as of now, we are giving this choice, and again, we would be open for this choice.
Ma'am, we have another questions on the lines of, is IRMA rural management better than XIMB rural management?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you ask me, yes. Yeah, but it sounds very crude to say, but yeah.
A slightly controversial question.
I would not say it's controversial question, but you can, but why to go by now only my it doesn't it won't be a good choice to go by my words. I would say that you please go, compare, talk to our participants who are currently enrolled in the program, right? They are available, like now it's now a very small world because of the social media handles. Check out with them that what is it that they have to kind of talk about. But given our experience, I would say that yes, indeed we are now our curriculum and our alumni base, our the experience that you would get in the PRM journey at IRMA is indeed going to be more enriching, more transformational than any other institute can provide at this moment of time.
So, ma'am, another question, a follow-up question we have is, thank you for answering the data analytics question, ma'am. Could you please give an example where data analytics correlates with rural management?
Okay, so if you look at it's all your UIA, DI that you are talking about, Aadhaar, the cash transfer programs that we are talking about. Only recently, last week only, Government of India is talking about Digi Agri Stack, where the entire land data is going to be, the entire farming data is going to be digitized. And based on that, a lot of farmer services would be now provided. Then if you look at, we are talking about eNAM, which is the National Agricultural Market. All this is happening through the technology, and the data analytics is integral to it. I'll tell you, like a lot of now a big gap that we have between urban and rural. We are actually, there has always been a concern around that we do not have the right data on rural. But now we have passed through the phase where we started collecting and keeping the right record of rural data. So now we are in that phase where the analytics is important. So it's like when you are talking about ABL, analytics based lending, right? So for rural, this becomes equally important, right? All these now small medium enterprises, or we are talking about individual, the retail loans. The future is the entire future of the finance sector is about fintech, and that is the data analytics. It's integral to that. So it's everywhere that we are going now. We are talking about that data analytics is indeed going to play a very it's going to have a very tectonic impact. The way rural would grow, the way rural would evolve now.
So, ma'am, one last question. What is from Aditi? What are the electives that IRMA provides after for BCom? Okay.
Electives. So Aditi is from BCom. So should I talk about the electives in the finance?
Yeah, I suppose, ma'am, that is what.
So if you look at we have fixed income securities as an elective. You have commercial banking and retail management, commercial banking and risk management as an elective. Then you have electives on derivatives. You have electives on financial statement, investment portfolio. Then you have electives on how the different forms of financing that happens. There are now variety, and in the finance, I would say that we have our adjunct faculty member, Mr. Ram Seshan, an ex-IAS officer who is the founding had been associated with NCDX. So the financial derivatives, all these are part of. So as a BCom graduate, as a commerce graduate, and someone who is interested in finance but would like to kind of come to IRMA has a lot to offer to you, in terms of, and I must say that a lot of internship opportunities which come in the finance area now are more in terms of the product designing, risk assessment, etc. So that's really going to help you.
We have another question coming in from Bipin Kumar Sahu. Ma'am, I'm working as an executive in an NGO, 3 years of work experience after completing my BTech. So is this the best place for doing MBA, and can my experience help in internship and placement process of different job
See, if you're working as a full-time paid employment as an executive after doing your BTech with now you're working with an NGO, yes. And if you have a 3 years of experience, I would say that you are actually going to get good points in your work experience score. In terms of placements also you will have, because see, if you because you are already working with NGOs, so you would be knowing that how now the NGOs are now integrated in the value chain, right? So your understanding, your experience of NGOs is actually going to help you in taking up your internship assignment or in taking up your final career option at the time of placements. It's indeed going to be helpful to you.
So we have a couple of more questions related to placements. Roles that a fresher may get after doing RM. Another one is being a pharma graduate, what roles would I get during placement?
Okay. See, I'll tell you, for many of our recruiters who come to IRMA, they sometimes they do not differentiate between fresher and a person with 1 year, 2 year or 3 year experience. Why? Because they come to recruit from IRMA because they are valuing the processes that you have undergone at IRMA, right? So in that sense, they understand that what you have done before is perhaps not really going to help in the kind of role that they're going to offer you. So in that sense, freshers are not like they are not compromised. So they get a lot of very good opportunities, and a lot of offers that get generated here are for MTs programs, whether we are talking about at Metro Cash and Carry, or we are talking about there's ICICI banks, the bigger banks, etc. So you start there. So that was one, right?
And
So
Mayank Joshi has a query regarding pharma.
pharma thing. So if you see, one is like we do get participants from the medical and pharma related kind of a background. So we do get even BDS here, right? So see, if you look at a lot of now the chain, now a lot of new set of organizations are coming up in health sector. So if you want, you can even come in there. Or if you look at a lot of companies like the organizations like Godrej Agrovet or Trow Nutrition, which are more into the animal feed and animal nutrition, you may find now a good place, a good for a now for you, for yourself, where you have done in pharmacy. You have done your graduation in pharmacy.
So
And I would say that, see, a lot of people come with pharmacy, agriculture, or not even history. So each one of us will have that question, but I would say rather focus on the process that you would undergo at IRMA. It's going to be indeed very transformational. It's going to open up a lot of opportunities for you. You would be able to explore yourself, and now IRMA is going to help you unleash your own potential. Don't judge yourself by your degrees, that now I've done something in pharmacy or I've done this. You're anyway, when you are making a move to explore yourself in the space of management education, focus on that. And I would say that IRMA is going to give you a lot of opportunities to help you understand and that where your core interest lies in, and where you are actually. So the idea here is like now to help you find where your interest is very high and you also have the great capabilities, right? So the interest and capability matching is very important. That's how you would be able to build a great career for you.
So I don't think we have any more questions. I would urge the participants to drop in any more questions if they have, or we're nearly towards the end of the session. We rather a few minutes over the scheduled time, but we'll just give it another minute or so, ma'am, if there is no
sure
limit on the time.
that yeah
Because the last couple of questions have started coming towards the end of the session once the whole placement discussion started.
Okay. So today, I know today's ZAT results have been out and people would be kind of again looking for now. So it's important for them to kind of explore variety of now institutions which are in the higher education space in India, and make a good choice. I would say yes. Just don't do it because now everybody else is doing it. So can we close?
Yes.
Kasturi?
Yeah. You can also. Are you able to also see the chat box?
No.
It must be on the right down corner. You have all the questions there. I was just reading from the.
I think that is like
Q&A. And
Mayank Joshi is the last
that was the last one we did.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am, with that, we'll close the session. Thank you for joining in. I would like to thank all the participants for bringing such different and good questions to the table, and for the good discussion that we've had around scope and career opportunities after IRMA. Thank you again, ma'am, for joining in. With that,
Thank you, Kasturi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you to the participants, the curious participants, and it's good to see that now people have these young, bright minds have curiosity around their own now professional life, and they are keen in kind of now they are more involved in their own journey. I can see that how when we were actually doing it, we were not as we were not really investing our time much. We were actually going by what our parents were saying, but the times have changed, and really happy to see this change. and I wish all of them very best of luck. You do very well in your career. You shape your career very well. Any choice that you make that helps you make your contribute to the larger community that you belong to. Thank you.
Thank you.